Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Living Astrology with Janet. It's time to grab your cup of coffee or your tea, sit back and relax while we dive into another powerful week of cosmic light. What a week, right? What a month. What a life we live right now, right? Today, we're standing at another threshold, and it's not just the end of April kind of threshold, but it's the beginning of a deeper transformation. And maybe not a beginning, but the next level of a deeper transformation that we are all a part of and have been a part of probably since about 2019, since about the time of COVID. We'll explore today how the Human Design Week invites us to quiet the mental chatter and the noise, right? So that we can actually be hearing our instincts, our instinctual self, or our intuitive self. And we're going to talk about how Venus is reigniting the heart with the courage and spirit of Aries, and how the Galactic Center, a part we haven't talked about very much before, the heart of our Milky Way galaxy, is stirring awake and sending waves of new consciousness throughout the cosmos and through us as life forms on the planet. So settle in, open up your hearts, and let's discover what the sky above and the soul within is guiding us toward this week. And it's a big week this week. As we talk about the Human Design Week, that's where we're going to start because today begins the Human Design Week. And we're also looking at the fact that this is the last week of the Earth's transit through the spleen center. So, the last of the fears or paralysis points that we have been working on over the last 7 weeks are coming to an end. Yay! Although I don't know if that's a yay or not. Let me share my screen with you so you can see the human design chart. And what we're looking at this week is the sun up here in the gate 24. This is called the gate of blessings in quantum human design. And it is a gate that we think of in terms of rationalizing things. This is a place, a person who has this gate has a very active mind. And the mind can be activated in a way that is, whispering. It can be a drum beat. It can be, always these different thoughts coming in that then we then have to rationalize away or rationalize into being, whichever way it's going. And in traditional human design, this is called the gate of mental clarity or the gate of rationalization. And so it really is a time for us to take a look at and maybe empty out the contents of the mind. So in if we look at this through the gene keys, which I love to look at these gates multi-dimensionally or multi layered like. And in the shadow energy of this gate 24, it is addiction. And the addiction isn't, what we would think of as drugs or drinking or gambling or sex or things like that. It's more about a shadow addiction to our thoughts or to our thinking patterns and a feeling that we need to have answers all the time, right? That every thought requires an answer or everything that's happening in our lives requires some kind of an answer. When we rise to the level of the gift here, we end up in invention, where we allow creative solutions to enter into the picture. We get insight that's beyond logic or beyond the mind, right? We open to more of that information filtering in through us. And if we look at this gate in the city or the highest expression, it is silence. Silence represents pure mind. It is transcending the mental noise, right? That constant cacophony of thoughts that go through our mind every day. So, this week's energy, from the human design perspective anyway, shines a light on the mental loops that we unconsciously repeat. And I say unconsciously because primarily these are thoughts that are thinking us instead of us thinking the thoughts. And especially when we're trying to solve life instead of living it. right? When you have something that you need to find a solution to, and literally sometimes these are thoughts that keep you up at night, right? The ones that keep you awake instead of sleeping. So when we look deeper now, if we look at the shadow of this gate 24, by the way, this is where the sun is. The earth is at the gate 44. So we have the ajna, the center of the mind, the thinking, the certainty about how life works, presumably, right? Or how things should be done. Um, some of you will have an open ajna, meaning this center is white and not colored in. And if you have a defined ajna, it is colored in. And it could be defined by 24 moving up to the 61 or the 47 to the 64 or the 4 to the 63. That just depends on how it is set up in your your own human design. But if you have a design that has a defined ajna, you are defined to be a thinker, right? So, but being a thinker doesn't mean that you have to always think negative thoughts or get caught up in these negative loops, that type of thing, right? Thinking is pretty much allowed to be more conscious than that. But unfortunately, sometimes we just get into these constant loops. So that's what this gate addresses. Now, if you have an open ashna, you have a more open mind, it's more fluid, right? So different thoughts that filter through can impact you during that time. Different transits that are happening on the ajna can affect you for that time. And then it moves on. So there's no real certainty in the thinking for someone who has an open ajna. Now, everybody today through, let's see, to May 3rd, I believe it is, May 2nd, will have, can you believe it's going to be May soon? Oh my gosh. So through May 2nd, we'll have a defined gate 24. Okay. So everybody is being impacted in this way to take a look at your thinking patterns. Now, when we look at the shadow in a deeper way, the shadow, remember, was addiction to the thinking patterns. Notice where you get trapped trying to figure things out or trying to fixate on a certain outcome or replaying the old tapes and the old worries and the old conversations in your mind. So, addiction here isn't just substance based, right? This is all about the thinking, being addicted to thinking as a survival tool or a survival mechanism. And then in the gift level, where we have invention, when you stop forcing solutions and trust this natural unfolding of insight, that's where real invention happens. Your mind becomes a channel of creative, new ideas, unexpected ideas, not when it's clogged, though, with old thinking. So we have to open up the channel when we move up to the city, and I don't know that any of us have made that leap yet, but it's possible certain people on the planet have. We have silence. And at the highest expression, silence isn't about muting life or muting your thoughts or your words. It's the natural quiet that happens when the mind rests in trust. We're trusting that the right idea will occur at the right time, that will be intuitively inspired, that the apparatus of invention will find its way to us. And from this silence, wisdom pours forth effortlessly. We don't have to work at thinking, it just happens. So, for all of you, with knowing this week, gate 24 is activated, where do you notice your mind looping? Right? Without resolution. Where are you on that constant train of thought that goes round and round and round? And then how can you honor yourself by taking a pause in the thinking, right? The moments of not knowing are just as magic as the moments of knowing. We just don't understand that in that space of not knowing is actual open space, right? A space for something to occur to us or something to come in, right? It's maybe a sacred gateway to insight, but we got to keep the channel open. So, what would it feel like then to trust silence as a creative partner? How would that feel to just be able to empty your mind and not get into that mental looping pattern? That is both the challenge and the promise of the gate 24, right? That the mental looping is there, but how can we stop that pattern or at least allow it to rest, allowing the gateway for more information to come in? Now, these gates don't live just by themselves, right? There are other planets involved. And in fact, we find the Earth this week at the gate 44. We've been through all the gates of the spleen. We started over here at the gate 18, then we jumped to the 48, then the 57, the 32, the 50, and then 28 last week. And now we're at this 44, which really is a gate called truth in quantum human design. And in traditional human design, this was called the gate of patterns. And in this particular gate, we have a sort of instinctive awareness of patterns, patterns with people, patterns within our own lives, patterns in the relationships that we have with the environment or with the people at work or with our family members, friends, etc. And when we look at this then from the gift and the shadow perspective, we have this shadow energy of interference where we're letting old patterns and fears block our growth, right? Have you ever experienced something that happens and immediately you're thrown back to the past where something like this happened before and you start to freak out because of it? Right? Say an unexpected bill comes in at the same time that your car broke down and needs fixing. And maybe you have old patterns of thinking about lack and abundance. And suddenly that old pattern is reignited, right? And you start to worry or you start to fret or you start to make, actions and decisions based on the fear, right? It's that simple, right? In this gate, that interference means these patterns can come back, right? And then with it, the old stories, right? And the old conditioning. So we have to be very aware of the past and how it is playing out in our lives as it relates to both the gate 24 up in the head, where we end up with this energy of mental looping, and as well in the gate 44. In the gift, we have teamwork. So this is where recognizing and then aligning with the right people, the right patterns, the right timing is all going to be sort of this magic synchronous way of living your life, right? If we're constantly worried about something, then we're likely going to miss the cues when the right person is there or when the right solution shows up. We might just discount it, right? We might just go, that's not that can't work. But then if we are open-minded, we could see, oh, well, maybe that is a solution. I haven't thought of that before. Okay. In the Siddhi, the highest expression of this gate 44, we get synarchy, which is divine cooperation. It is intuitive harmony with all beings. That's a difficult one for us as humans because right now we're so used to hierarchy, right? That there's this order of lineage that we're a part of, right? Top down, typically, where our governments are that way, our community organizations are that way. Even in our own families, we may have a pecking order, right? A top down hierarchical way of being. But the dream here in the gate 44 is that we can get beyond that, where the divine cooperation steps in. So if we look at the shadow deeper now, if we look at this interference, sometimes what you think is intuition, which really is the realm of the spleen center, is really an old fear replaying itself. Be mindful then of fear based recognition versus soul based recognition. Now, what I mean by that is fear based recognition says, okay, the last time XYZ happened, I did this. And so I kind of repeat that pattern, even though this particular situation might not be exact, it might not respond to the same information or input that you gave it last time. But when we're in soul based recognition, we're in the silence, we're in the quiet, and we're able to choose consciously how it is that we're going to respond to whatever the situation is, right? To whatever the unexpected bill is, or the unexpected visit from your parents is, right? All those kinds of things. In the gift of teamwork, the gate 44's higher gift is helping you see who you really are and what it is meant to stay in your life, in your lane, right? Without getting caught up in all of the other drama around you. It's pattern recognition that really recognizes and serves growth, right? It's meant to be taking us upward in consciousness, not sending us backward or downward in consciousness. So that way we can align with the right people in the right time with the right opportunity at the right moment, right? That very intuitive, instinctive, this is the time to act. In the Siddhi, where we have synarchy, the ultimate truth isn't isolated. It's about oneness. Oneness, right? Every true pattern of growth includes others. It can't be growth. We're not in a vacuum, in other words. We're not evolving alone. We're all evolving together on this planet. Okay. So in this case, then you can ask yourself some other questions like, where are old fears, past experiences, coloring how you view the world, how you view others, how you view yourself? And then can you tune in? Because this is very body oriented. This is in the lower half of your human design, right? This is in the physical realm. And in this physical realm, can you tune into your body's knowing or wisdom, right? Another word for intuition is gut instinct. And the spleen is very instinctual energy. And it is, a place where we tune in this moment, in the now. It operates absolutely in the now. It doesn't operate in the past, and it doesn't yet operate in the future. It's just right here in this moment. So tune in to what is happening within you now rather than replaying your old mental judgments about yourself or others. And then maybe another interesting energy of the gate 44 is blessings. This is called the gate of blessings, actually, in uh, quantum human design. So up here, the gate 24, called the gate of blessings. So can you recognize the blessings of partnership, of your community, of the collaboration of yourself with others, or of how you move through your own life, how you view yourself within partnerships or teams or relationships, right? So if we interweave the 24 and the 44 together here, this is a week of mental repatterning and maybe even instinctive trust that all is well, all will be well, thank you God kind of energy, right? We're we're pushing ourselves into trust, if you will, and releasing sort of those mental patterns, especially the obsessive mental patterns. And we're trusting intuition to guide us through the correct pattern and then aligning our mind and our bodies, both, right, into a single stream of clear soul led truth. And this is something that we're learning. So don't expect that it's going to go perfectly. But if you recognize that you're in an old pattern, then you can start the process of changing that pattern. You could interrupt the pattern. And that's what it's all about. It's not about being perfect, right? It's not going to work that way. But part of evolving is really noticing for ourselves when an old pattern is coming up, when an old tape starts to run in the mind, so that you can stop the pattern and move forward in a different way. All right. Let me stop the sharing. All right. So let's say good morning to people because I haven't done that yet. Good morning, Jacqueline Tyler. She says, hello to everyone. This is Jacqueline Tyler. Love and blessings to you all. Good morning, Diana S. And Tom, good to have you with us this morning, Tom. Pam Zaruba, nice to see you. Colleen McSpirit, I love it. Thank you for being here. MD, grand rising to you as well. Patty, good morning to you. And Peggy Ann, good to have you with us. Tom says, open up your heart and let the sun shine in. That sounds like a song from, was it the Brady Bunch? The Partridge Family? I'm not sure. Excuse me. J Lo, good morning to you. She said, ha ha, I came in right on time with my Mercury in 24. Right, Mercury. So the mind and then communication as well, right? Can you move through this energy this week? Because now you also have the sun sitting at the 24, not just your Mercury. Can kind of trigger both. Good morning, Sharon K. It's good to have you with us. And MD, this morning when I woke up, I felt the collective going through their thoughts and felt emotional with love and bliss praying for the collective, sending love. Very good, very good. Lex Wolfberg, good morning to you. It's great to have you with us. And MD says, exactly, trapped. That is the thing. We are sovereign beings. You're going to hear me talk about sovereign probably nauseatingly so through the rest of this year because there's such a theme of this idea of sovereignty. And how can you be a sovereign being if you're constantly being drawn into old dramas and old fears by your mind, by the mind that is meant to be your tool, not you be the tool of the mind. So fixing our minds is it's not that you're broken, by the way. It's not, we just need to be able to become aware more about what it is we're using our minds for. Good morning, Christine. She has 24 on her south node in Taurus and 44 Scorpio moon. So you have, not you have this as an axis, if you will, that is occurring across your astrology chart. It doesn't create necessarily a channel in human design, but these two gates are integral in the mind and pattern recognition and how you can evolve beyond the conditioning of the mind by by focusing your energy on blessings, right? On forgiveness, on abundance, right? Those kinds of things. And Christine says, Tom, you've been missed. We did miss you, Tom. Well, I even reached out to Tom and said, are you okay? Because we hadn't seen him. Tara Hines, good morning. Yes to multiple blessings. Good morning, Londa. You're a part of my team. We give our thanks. It's time to align our mind to the divine mind of God, finding our truth. Oof, very cool. In this moment, this is my truth. Tomorrow, I may align to a new truth. And that's the case, right? We are always evolving. And Christine Buckingham, The Age of Aquarius. Oh, was that from Hair? Okay. And the McGuire sisters also, Bam Bam and Pebbles. That's what it was, the Flintstones. Oh my goodness. Okay. That was Let the Sun Shine In, the song that we were kind of thinking about earlier. All right. Let me remember to remind you to hit the thumbs up button if you're liking the video, or hit the like button, whatever, if you're on Facebook or on YouTube, and also share with your friends. Share it with your social media platforms. I appreciate that. Let's move on. First of all, I wrote a mantra for us. I'm going to write it out and then post it. Shall I do that? I trust the pauses. I honor the knowing. I align with truth beyond fear. I honor the knowing. There we go. That is our mantra for this week for our human design. And let's see if I could show that on the screen. There we go. Let's move on, shall we? This week, we have Venus moving back into Aries. Remember, Venus went retrograde at about 10 degrees of Aries, and then she moved backward into Pisces. And now she on what was it, the 12th? She turned direct on April 12th, and now she's moving forward, having moved through those last degrees of Pisces once more, interacting with Saturn and interacting with the North Node. And initially, when she moved back into Pisces, she interacted with Neptune. But Neptune now has since moved on into Aries. And now that Venus is moving into Aries, she's going to be interacting with a new type of Neptune, right? So we're taking the old, the ending, and we're moving into something new. So let's look at Venus in Aries first, because if you're looking at your own chart, which I suggest you do, have your own chart and your human design, astrology and human design charts together. Um, then what we're looking at here is the Aries part of your chart, which is already highly activated. Right? For many of you who've already had seasonal astrology readings, or you did an astrology of 2025 reading with me earlier in the year, I was pretty much highlighting Aries and Pisces, right? Those two signs were where the bulk of the energies were flying through. And now we're, pretty much focused on this Aryan energy, which, by the way, takes us back to this idea of sovereignty, because Aries is the sign of the individual. It's the sign of the I am. And what are you, right? Who are you? And the I am is such a powerful presence for yourself and for the role that you're here to play on the planet. And again, that ties back to sovereignty, right? So Venus in Aries takes us to the rebirth of the heart, right? Remember, Venus is the planet that rules love in relationships in particular. And so we have, physical love, and we have emotional love here. And we also have the energy of finances and the economy and your values, what you value and how you value yourself, as well as self-worth, self-confidence, things like that. But this isn't just a regular, oh, Venus is moving through Aries kind of time, right? Because of that retrograde cycle that she underwent. So now we're still moving through old territory. We haven't yet gotten beyond 10 degrees of Aries with her to have been experiencing something new. So we're still kind of closing up whatever it was we've been experiencing in our relationships over the last few weeks, several weeks. And now she's asking us to reevaluate the impact of love in our lives and desire and values and creativity. Forgot about that one, creativity and self worth. So now Venus returns direct into Aries with new fire in her heart. So newly energized Venus energy in Aries, in the Aries part of your chart. Find the house or the little wedge of the chart that it's a part of, and that will tell you where it is in your life that this new energy is flowing. So Venus in Aries is passionate. She's bold and she's courageous, right? This is the feminine warrior type, right? The feminine warrior, not the masculine warrior where it's all, let's beat everybody to death. It's more of the passionate energy of of leadership, of warriorship, if you will. It's independence in love and creativity. Independence is another Aries word. It values honesty. So Venus here is looking for truth, for the real, for the honesty in that relationship. She's looking for immediacy as well, because this is energy that doesn't like to wait. And she's looking for authenticity. Aries being its true self, right? Being the real sovereign energy of the I am presence. And it wants to act on feelings. Venus here is she's emotionally ready to commit, perhaps in a relationship. She is not dreaming about relationships anymore. She's taking action on them. And even so far as there may have been relationship damage done over the previous several weeks of her moving through her retrograde cycle, which included Pisces and Aries energy, then maybe the opportunity now with Venus moving back into Aries is to heal whatever it is that got messed up during that period of time. And yet, this energy can be impulsive, which means it can be kind of in conflict at times, right? She can bring up the past maybe in a way that's not so comfortable, but she can also be refreshingly clear about what she wants here. We can become refreshingly clear about what we want in this life and how we want to show up. And why does this matter? Right? Why does this matter? Why does this I keep bringing this up because it matters. During her retrograde, Venus like stripped away the illusions that we had about relationships, maybe stripped away the illusions we had about money or creativity or self-worth. And now she invited us to look at where we were out of alignment with our true desires. And now, with her re entry into Aries, it represents a rebirth of the heart, a time to act on the soul truths that we discovered. There's no need to drag the old doubts forward. Just remember, we're getting rid of that, we're letting that go. This Venus wants us to move with passion and authenticity. And maybe you could think about what did you discover maybe about yourself, about your true desires, or about your truth within relationships while she was in retrograde? And what have you been holding back from yourself? Right? Sometimes we hold back because we feel undeserving of having everything we want, having enough money, having good health, having loving relationships. And so, in that retrograde, perhaps the old specters of fear in how we are treated in relationships came up. And now is the time to let that healing really take place. And then what new beginnings are calling you now? One that your heart wants, not just your mind, right? The mind can be very powerful in talking you into or out of things that might not be truly authentically something that you're interested in. So, what does your heart want to claim? Okay. Now, Venus, like all of the planets as they cross into Aries, join there at the gate 25. So, let me bring this back up to everybody to see, because I also noted the gate 25 on our graphic here. And when this is where Neptune is sitting right now. And so that tells you we have a Venus-Neptune conjunction coming up, which I already spoke to a little bit, right? As I was teasing you into recognizing she conjuncted Neptune in the final degree of Pisces. And now she is going to conjunct Neptune in the first degree of Aries. So there's something really synchronous happening here, right? But let's look at it through the eyes of the gate 25, because the gate 25 is called the gate of spirit, or more appropriately, the gate of the love of spirit, because it sits here on this identity center. This is the seat of your soul. This is your heart, the heart of who you are, the true heart of who you are. And at the gate 25, it is the joining of the divine you with the physical or human you. And we see that in the gate 25, we're awakening love from within, right? This isn't just looking for it outside of you, looking for love in all the wrong places. This is like really recognizing that love is an inside job. It starts here. And as Venus re-enters Aries, she crosses into the gate. She's actually already at the gate 25. She started that yesterday, and through May 9th, I believe it is. Let's see, maybe it was 6th. Through May, yes, through the 6th, she will be sitting at this gate, holding hands, as it were, with Neptune, and bringing up this energy of the gate of the love of spirit. And it's pure unconditional love that lives here in the gate 25. Not sentimental love, but the deeper universal connection that we have to all life itself, right? The love that holds together the tapestry of creation, of reality. Now, when we look at the gate 25 through the shadow levels and the gift level and the city, We see in the shadow, it's constriction. It's the closing down of the heart to protect yourself against pain, against wounding, right? Breaking your heart, having broken your heart, or someone having broken your heart, you close it down. So we have constriction where everything is, being brought into closer holding. In the gift level, we have acceptance. And acceptance here is about allowing all of life, all of the feelings without restrictions, right? Not judging the feelings, just watching them, observing them, accepting that all of the different feelings are all a part of life, right? It's all a part of life. And in the city, the highest expression of the gate 25, we have universal love. This is realizing your essence is one with all existence, spiritually, physically, mentally, emotionally, all one, right? So that's what we have here with this gate 25. And so Venus in Aries brings the courage to reopen your heart where it has been shut down through past wounds or betrayals, right? Things that have hurt us, hurt our feelings. And gate 25 reminds us, well, Venus at gate 25 reminds us that you don't have to earn love. You already are love. You are love. And where Aries wants to fight for what it wants, the gate 25 softens that urge into something even more powerful, being love itself. Needing to grasp and control or prove anything is old. It's gone. It's not necessary. We don't need that anymore. So you might ask yourself some questions then about where do you feel constricted? Remember, there's planets sitting here already. Neptune, Mercury went through this particular gate. Now Venus is at this gate. Saturn next month moves into, you got it, this gate, right? So we have lots of different views, screens, frames through which we are looking at this concept of constriction, of acceptance, and of a universal love. And choices that we make then on how we interact with one another based on those higher level, the gift and the city, perhaps, energies. All right. So the key insight for the week, as far as it is with Venus, you don't have to seek love externally. You are here to remember that you are love and you're love in action, right? You are love. You don't have to go looking for it. You are it. All right. Now, again, the gate 25 here is where Venus and Neptune will conjunct one another later this week on the 30th. And let me remove that. So I have my whole face here. So let's talk about Venus conjunct Neptune now, because Neptune represents, you got it, unconditional love. Right? It's the higher order of love. So Neptune and Venus are higher octaves of each other. So Venus being, the more earthly level of love, while Neptune is the more spiritual, higher level of oneness and unconditional love when it's operating in its highest. And we're talking about conjunction energy. So we're blending the two energies. That's what a conjunction ideally is all about, this blending of the energies. And when Venus meets Neptune, it dissolves the boundary between earthly love and divine love. It's all one love. And dreams and fantasies and soul longing and creative inspiration become amplified by Venus's creative potential and Neptune's higher functioning creative potential, higher consciousness. And there's a pull within us for beauty and transcendence and spiritual love and inspired creativity. So, in a real way, this week can really bring us some really beautiful energies. But because it's in Aries, and we know about Aries, this isn't just passive dreaming. This isn't Piscean la la la. Wouldn't it be nice? No, this is action oriented. This is where we need to put things in motion. We have to add courage. We have to add fire. And we have to add the action steps to get to our dreams. It's very assertive energy, if you will, not passive. It's a call to dream boldly and act on the dream, even if it's just one little step. Take the step. We're in the new moon window now, right? The new moon, the seed planting time. What's not to like about the setup here for us to do the things that we really want to in our lives, right? To take those steps. And it's not enough to wish for soul fulfillment here. Aries demands that we move towards it, right? If you want to see something more creative in your life, you're the one that has to take the step to do it. You can't just keep dreaming it. Now, the shadow side that we have to deal with these two planets, because there always is a shadow, is about the rose colored glasses, right? Where we just make we're mistaking fantasy for grounded reality. And that's something we have to watch for anytime Neptune is involved, but especially at this point in time. We want to watch out for rushing into anything impulsively without checking that it's truly aligned with our souls, right? Making sure it's aligned, it's what you really desire, that you're not doing it from some outside influence or from conditioning. And then watch out for idealizing people or relationships or projects that are not what they seem, right? Watch out for that. So, the best way to work with the Venus Neptune conjunction is to stay connected to your inner compass, right? Your inner intuition and your soul's truth. Take inspired action, not reckless leaps. There is a difference, right? Blend passion with compassion and courage with discernment. Discernment meaning being able to tell what is true and what is not for you, right? Trust what is real inside of you, even if you can't yet fully explain it, right? I did not know why it was I was being pushed to become an astrologer, right? It didn't make sense. I'd been an optician. I studied biology and chemistry in college. I was not really into woo woo, even though I loved it. I was fascinated by it. But I just kept going with whatever it was that, the step was. I was fascinated by it, right? And that fascination is desire, right? Wanting to be made manifest. So if there's something that you're fascinated by, something that you really have desired to put into place in your life, this is the time to do it, right? And the theme for the Venus Neptune moment, if you will, is lead with love. Dream boldly and desire with soul, right? Desire with soul. All right. Anybody have questions? I'm going to stop sharing that. There we go. Colleen, beautiful mantra. Thank you very much. Catherine, thank you so much for your guidance. As always, you're so welcome. Lo, with my D design IC in 25 in the 6th line, role model line, uh, and the 5th, 11th house, what do you think I should look for since human design doesn't like looking at the IC? Well, look at what grounds you, right? The 4th house or the IC is the 4th house cusp. And the 4th house is the roots that you have, right? It's the foundation. It's where you feel at home, right? So where do you feel at home spiritually? And to live from that, let that guide you, right? Let that be your foundation and not worry so much about what others are going to think about that or what your community will think about that. You're letting a higher connection to the divine guide you, and we all are. But in specific, this might be a challenge for you because maybe, I don't know, maybe you've tried to fit in, being something that you're really not, or um, it's hard to say exactly how that plays out at the IC, but know that it's foundational. There's something in the very foundation, in the very roots that you need to address. All right. Now I'm going to go into a whole new territory because um, this, I don't know, 15 years ago, 10 years ago, I wrote an article on the Galactic Center and I channeled it. I mean, I just channeled it plain out. And because I'd never heard really about the Galactic Center, I didn't know much about it, but somehow I just got fascinated by it because, for one thing, it sits directly across from the sun in my own astrology chart. So if you have a 28-degree sun and the Galactic Center's at 27 of the opposite side, Sagittarius, of course you're going to want to know about it. So I'm going to bring it to you today. And there's a really good reason why I'm doing that because suddenly, maybe not so sudden, but over the last few years and getting greater and louder and more noticeable is the activation of the Galactic Center. Even from a scientific point of view, the center, the Galactic Center, is becoming more activated. And from the Galactic Center, there is a lot of high energy particles that stream out into the Milky Way galaxy, of which we happen to be residents of. And so all of the beings here in our galaxy around the Milky Way, and including us little earthlings and including all life forms on the planet, are being infused with this transmutative energy of the galactic center through gamma rays, through X rays, through cosmic rays, through neutrinos. Neutrinos, we know of from a scientific perspective, are involved in mutation, right? In activating mutation in life forms. And periodically, humans, if you've ever read any of the books by Greg Braden, he talks about this mutation that happened in our DNA that sort of just became a leap, right? It was like a leaping kind of DNA change or mutation. And are we up for another one? Right? Are we up for another one? And if we are, then the connection I'm making with it is that the galactic center is becoming more active as a pathway for the human design evolutionary leap that we take from, say, 2027 to 2030, right? The solar plexus mutation, we've been calling it. And we're on the cusp of that mutation. It's 2025, 2025 and a half almost, right? So we're getting closer to the time of this mutation. And this evolutionary leap will transition humanity from a mental awareness species to a new emotional and embodied awareness species. That's what's ideally changing within all of us over the course of time, especially new beings that come to the planet will be already embodying this new emotional awareness. And in that, the gate 55, let me share my screen again real quickly so I can show you where the gate 55 is. And that is right down here on the solar plexus, the gate 55 here, also known as the gate of abundance or the gate of the spirit of abundance. In quantum human design, we call it the gate of faith, right? Faith in a higher power, faith in your connection to your higher power. But it's also very emotional energy, right? So that's just to give you the orientation of where it is. And it's in a critical part of the mutation, right? Because the gates of the incarnation cross for the time period are moving from what was the cross of planning or administration to the cross of the sleeping phoenix. And we're moving then the cross of planning and administration was a very structured, tribe based survival kind of cross. And we're moving into the cross of the sleeping phoenix, which is more about individual sovereignty, spirit led living, right? Living within a connection to our divine selves. And I can see that this is likely going to need a leap, right? Because we're kind of chaotically in between those stages, right? Where we're structured and tribal based, survival based, and we're moving to more faith based. And I don't mean faith by religion, I mean faith as in trust in a higher power, trust in your divine guidance, trust in your divine heart. That is the energy that we are leaping to. Now, often the galactic center, then, and I think these mutation potentials of human design are precipitated by that higher neutrino content and gamma rays and so forth that are streaming into this planet. And you're a receptacle for these energies. You are a holder of these energies. And as they come into you, they also flow out through you, right? So you are embodying this change and at the DNA level, even without your knowing it, right? So some of the symptoms that people have talked about, anxieties and illnesses and tiredness and fatigue and weird dreams and all of that, I think are kind of precursor energies to that galactic center stream coming to us through the human design evolutionary leap. So excuse me, the galactic center awakening may be sending us these energetic charges right now that jumpstart that evolutionary timeline. And the signs of this mutation already appearing is the fact that we are experiencing greater emotional sensitivity across generations, especially the younger generations, right? Gen Z, sometimes they call them the alpha kids, that, this energy is increasing our emotional receptivity, our emotional compassion. And sometimes we're experiencing this as emotional ups and downs, highs and lows, and every place in between. And yet, this increased focus is going to move us toward more authenticity, more emotional truth, and of course, intuitive leadership. We're all getting ready to step into a higher level of our own purpose and being. And that has to be a part of the collapse of the old systems, right? And we're seeing that those collapse now. And it's not that the system well, the systems were rotten from the inside, but primarily those systems were all based on logic and control. And the logic and control can't exist with emotional authority, emotional awareness, and embodiment awareness, faith, right? It can't exist. I mean, it can blend and it can be a part of, but we've solely looked to logic and the mind, where now we're going to have to incorporate more of the solar plexus, the mind and gut interaction, right? That whole idea that the gut thinks, right? The solar plexus is filled with nerves, and those nerves think, right? So we're awakening more and more of that. And of course, that leads us to the rise of the sovereign self, the self led paths to living versus heavy dependency on societal structures or cultural norms and things like that. This is what's bringing us out of uh, that darkness, if you will, that old pattern into a new pattern, right? Into being more sovereign. So, how to work with the galactic center while we're in this awakening, because it's a longer term deal. This isn't over tomorrow, right? It's just ramping up, right? So more and more of this energy is flowing out. And if you look at the reaction of our sun, the sun in our solar system is reactive to the galactic center. And the sun, I mean, how many large X-class solar flares have we seen? Have you looked at spaceweather.com and seen the big holes in the sun? And these things are normal. It's not like the sun is doing something very odd. It's just more intensified, right? And a lot of you are very sensitive to the sun, the KP index and the CMEs and so forth, right? How many times have we seen these beautiful auroras now deeper down into the southern parts of this country, the USA, but also, all around the world? That's the sun reacting to these cosmic outflows from the galactic center. So, don't you think that you're also going to be impacted by that, right? You're a citizen here on this planet. So we're experiencing it through heightened sensitivity. We may feel more intuitive, more emotional, and more energetically sensitive. And that's not weakness, right? That is not a weakness. This is your new awareness system coming online, right? We have to release old structures. That's a part of this as well. Trust what's dissolving. Structures that no longer serve soul evolution are naturally falling away. That's another part of this. And then we're also receiving downloads of the new codes, if you will, through inspiration, through visions, through sudden clarity, through new creative urges, all signs that you're catching the waves of new consciousness. You're catching them, right? It's moving in and embodying emotional truth. The path forward isn't about figuring it out. This is why a week like this week with the human design sun at the gate 24 is so important, because as we move forward, we're not going to be able to figure it out. It's too fast, there's too much, and it's moving forward at the speed of light, at the speed of the galactic centers, impulses and bursts. It's about feeling it through and trusting the body and your spirit and your emotions to lead you where you need to go, to the right people, to the right places, to the right opportunities. It's big, isn't it? So, our final summary for this morning, because I can't believe it, but it's almost been an hour now. The gate 24 and the gate 44, our human design week, help us release the mental addiction and then tune into our more intuitive patterns. Venus in Aries and at the gate 25 reignites our heart centered energies, our courage, and our spiritual acceptance, right? Venus conjunct Neptune blends these different kinds of love and opens a portal to the dream of what the next version of yourself could be. Not by force, really, but by resonance. How are you resonating now with this higher presence? And the Galactic Center awakening signals that the universe is ready for our evolution, your personal evolution as well. You're not evolving alone, right? The entire cosmos is supporting us in that, right? It's not even just Earth, it's all of the planets, all of the bodies, all of the life forms throughout this Milky Way galaxy. So you are not broken, you are becoming. The cosmos stirs within you. And trust the blessing, trust the change, and trust yourself, right? You inside know what to do. You do. So, as we bring this show to a close today, remember, you're not just living through change, you're becoming the change. The change isn't something outwardly that's happening, it's you are the change. And the blessings this week ask you to trust the quiet spaces inside of you, to recognize the truth that your body already knows, and to follow the dreams that set your spirit alight, right? The things that light you up. You're part of something so much bigger. We all are something that is amazing. It's a cosmic awakening that's kind of rippling through the universe, and it's inviting us to evolve with grace, courage, and soul. And all you need to do is trust yourself, trust your timing, trust the blessing unfolding inside of you. That's all it's required, right? Trust and faith. All right. So let's do a card reading. I feel like maybe today we should have done a galactic heritage. Um, hmm, okay, we'll do this one. Wisdom of the Oracle. This is a deck by Colette Baron Reed. It's one of my oldest decks that I actually have. And Colette Baron Reed is, of course, prominent in the Oracle card world, among other things that she does. And let's see what wisdom we get for the week. Oh, by the way, I forgot to say, on Wednesday, I will also be on air. We're going to take a look ahead at the month of May. We have big things in May. Big surprise, right? Saturn moving into the sign of Aries, right? and a bunch of other things. So the card we get today is Truth Be Told. Card number 14, which is a 5, constructive use of freedom. All right, freedom. And card 14, I got to go back a bit. Okay. The essential meaning of this card is honesty, accepting things at face value, coming out of denial, the willingness to be transparent, clarity of communication. So today it says, there is the truth, which is the essence of a thing, and then there is a truth, subjective according to the philosophy of the adherent or believer. This is not a time for debate about which truth is truer. This is a time when you are called to proclaim your truth out loud and be willing to be transparent, honest, and open in your communication with others and with yourself. Nothing less than surrender to what is, peeling off the layers of denial that kept you tied to an illusion will set you free. Be authentic and gloriously flawed, and spirit will answer with miracles. I love it. Right? These cards are great. All right. Thank you so much for being here with me today. Until next time, Wednesday, keep shining your beautiful light. All right. Bye for now.